I think they're going to manage them effectively. I think Jacksonville's a sleeper. I think Jacksonville's closed the gap. Mark Brunell's a multi-dimensional player. He can make plays on his own. He beat us twice last year. It was very heartbreaking for us. He's very good. Natrone Means in the backfield. Again, if they can get him back to last year's form, he can be very effective. They got Leon Searcy. They've got a very good offensive line, so they're a very effective team. I think there's something there that's building. Now, Brackens is going to have to come through, put some pressure on the quarterback. They're going to have to hold up in the back end. Cincinnati's going to have to stop somebody on defense. I really believe that. I think that's the key, although Cincinnati's much better with Kajana Carter in the backfield. Bruce Coslett, really good job with Jeff Blake, makes plays down the field. But defensively, I think that's still going to be the question. They've got a lot of first-round picks over there, but again, they were 30th in the league last year in defense. They're going to have to stop somebody. The mystery team here is Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to have to come in here, coming back from the move and all that, see truly if the move affected the team or if it's a team that's on the rebound.
Yeah, we all know that was on a 5-11 team affected by Art Modell up and leaving town. We'll have to see how quickly they can bounce back. Mike?
Okay, Chris, let's swing it now to the AFC West, a division that I personally think is the best in football because everyone was 500 in this division. And here's one of the more remarkable stats from last year. Kansas City at 13-3, they won all 8 of their division games. So that means each other team in the division had 2 losses automatically because of Kansas City, and they still all finished at 500. Shows you what I thought was the strength of this division. Who helped themselves in this 2-day draft, Mel?
Well, I just want to look at Denver because they went in to really establish a defense, and that was the key area. They needed defensive linemen, linebackers, and DBs. They got Mobley, who's undersized but flies through the ball, gets from point A to point B very quickly. James can cover, but he won't support the run that well. Detron Smith's your pure fullback. Then they went back to defense and got Mark Campbell. I think Jeff Lewis is the key. Is he the heir apparent to John Elway? Darius Johnson's a good-looking corner. Jeffers is the possession receiver that Shanahan's always had. And Ratliff, had it not been for the situation in Tennessee off the field, maybe he would have developed. So in the 7th round, he's worth a flyer, really.
Jeffers is a player whose production was down because he injured a hamstring right before the very first game at Michigan, the Pigskin Classic. But when healthy, he was a key part. He was the win or lose guy at Virginia. They got Jeffers. Virginia won games. If he wasn't performing, they weren't able to win games. What team are you looking at here?
The Oakland Raiders, you know, Marvin Harrison fell, and I was hoping he could get out there, but they were looking to take Ricky Dudley. They moved up to take him. He's going to take a whole lot of pressure off of Tim Brown, and he's going to allow Jeff Hostetler to get rid of the football a lot sooner than he really, you know, instead of standing back there and taking that beating. I think Tim Hall is going to step in and really help, I think, force that Harvey Martin to become the type player that everybody thinks he can. He had a great year last year, but he can be even better with the moves that he has.
Harvey Williams.
Yes.
What do you like in this division, guys?
I think you still got to go with Kansas City. I mean, they helped themselves in the secondary at the safety position with Jerome Woods, who's a good football player. I'm not as high on Reggie Tung as they are, but I think Jerome Woods is a key to help the secondary that needed a pure safety. You know, with that offense coming back, and they did help themselves at wide receiver, Vanover hopefully will step up. And I know, Sterling, you have a different opinion on that about Vanover, but I think this is still a team. I don't think anybody's caught them yet. Has Oakland with Ricky Dudley gotten over the top? Maybe. That would be the one team I would fear from the Kansas City Chiefs.
I agree with Miller. I think Kansas City is going to be the team to beat. And I agree with what your assessment is of Vanover. I just think with his long stride, he's going to have to work extremely hard in the offseason to get that stride to fit into the West Coast offense.
When you put teams on a piece of paper and assess their moves, free agency, drafts, no piece of paper sticks out balanced like the Kansas City Chiefs all over the board. The question is, can the quarterback spot come up in a big game? To be very blunt, they didn't last year. That will be the difference with the Chiefs potentially this year. They're all chasing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who represented the AFC in the Super Bowl last year. The Buffalo Bills will certainly contend with the Steelers and the others in 1996. We'll talk about the NFC and update you on the draft as we continue from New York.
One of these engines was filled with Castrol Syntec, a full synthetic oil, the rest with conventional oils. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it leaves a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oils. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't.
been moved to dancing with the music of the Draft Dodgers on the corner of 31st Street and 8th Avenue across from the huge post office in Midtown Manhattan at the corner of Madison Square Garden. We are in the theater for our live coverage of the NFL Draft. 33 more selections. We are up to pick 221. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. We're going to talk NFC now, and let's start by going to the place where the NFC champions reign. And Chris Myers joins us from Cowboys headquarters. Chris?
Mike, the Cowboys have just one more selection left in this draft in the last round, but already as we take a peek inside the war room, they have begun to address the troops, and they are discussing their attack of free agent signings. And Jerry Jones going over some of the names, figuring that the mad scramble begins as soon as this draft ends. There are scouts in the room, some of the assistant coaches who will be going out to sign what the Cowboys hope about 10 to 12 free agent players that will be brought in at bargain dollars, although a lot will have to do with what kind of signing bonuses they'd like, as you get a look at some of the scouts already going over the names that they'll be competing for with other teams as they try and hit the free agent open market as soon as this draft closes out. That's it from Dallas. Let's go back to Mike Tirico in New York.
And Chris, we saw this as our first two-day coverage of the draft commenced 3 years ago. In changing the draft from 12 rounds to 8 and now 7, there are obviously a lot more players that were drafted in the past who are now out there, and you have the opportunity to go out and get. So this is where the entrepreneurial nature of Jerry Jones, I should say, gets an opportunity to beat some of the other guys to the punch in free agency. They are the champions of the NFC, of the NFL, and obviously of the NFC East, beating Philadelphia by 2 games in the division last year, and then 3 disappointing teams with double-digit losses. Let's assess some of the teams in the NFC East. Who'd you like out of a draft situation, Mel?
I like Philadelphia. I think they had a good year last year. Ray Rhodes has an outstanding staff. Jermaine Mayberry gives them a lot of flexibility on their offensive line with his ability to play tackle or guard. I thought they stole an outstanding physical specimen in Jason Dunn on round 2. And a guy like Brian Dawkins, great special teamer, can play cornerback or strong safety. I like him a lot. Hoying could be a good quarterback down the road for them. Farmer, versatile to play safety or linebacker. Whit Marshall was a little undersized but very productive at Georgia. White can maybe be a situational pass rusher. Johnson will be an outstanding special teamer. And Riley didn't play much till this year. Only 33 catches as a senior, 4th receiver, but great speed. Ran a 4.32 during an individual workout. So at least they have some speed with Riley.
They can use some productivity out of their draft picks. Of the last 2 years, 8 picks, only 2 on the roster, and those both from last year.
That's changing this year, Mike.
Yes, I agree. And they have 8 picks alone just in this year's draft. Sterling?
You know, the Dallas Cowboys are an interesting team because they lost a lot of players because they have already got the hardware in the rings. But I think the picks that they got and Kavika Pittman and Randall Godfrey are going to allow Charles Haley to take a break. I think they got good, quick players with high motors are always running. But you got to look at their linebacker play. And I think they got Fred Strickland in free agency. He's great against the run, but I don't know if he can work the pass coverage in that Dallas box post defense.
Who do you like in this division?
I still, until somebody beats them, I still like the Dallas Cowboys. I think they got enough on offense, which is what they win with. I think they got enough firepower on offense. And they're going to, I think if they negotiate with them and keep them happy, they'll be the deal with it.
Well, you have to agree. Dallas is still a team to beat. I just think Philadelphia, with a strong draft, is still going to be in that wild card position. But Dallas is still the class of the NFL in my mind. San Francisco may be challenging, and Green Bay is going to be right there. I just still think you can't overtake Dallas yet.
Let's remind everyone Michael Irvin's court date will be June 24th as he faces the drug possession charges. And then after that, will you hear from the NFL if there will be any reaction to what happens with Michael Irvin in court vis-a-vis being suspended or having to miss any games, and only then can you truly assess the impact that that may have on the Dallas Cowboys. The NFC Central, Green Bay threatened the Cowboys, got within a game of the NFC slot in the Super Bowl, and it was a very competitive division, and Tampa Bay finally avoided the 13th year of double-digit losses by getting to 7-9. New coach, though, Mel, and a big impact early in the draft.
A class actor coach. I really have a lot of respect for Tony Dungy. I think those players will respond to his coaching. Reagan Upshaw, the speed rusher. Jones, the consistent defensive tackle. Allstott's an outstanding fullback, like a Darryl Johnston in Dallas. Abraham, a little high, but he can play as a nickelback, dime back. Jason Odom could be a sensational first pick in the 4th round. He could actually move in as a rookie. Manecki's a tough defensive tackle. Sylvan, hey, if he's focused on football, he could be a return man with great speed. Reggie Rusk in the 7th round, maybe a backup special teamer.
Where are you looking, Sterling?
And, you know, I like the Green Bay Packers and what they did, and I think they're going to be there. But I think the Chicago Bears are what's interesting because they couldn't stop anybody against the run on defense. The Green Bay Packers beat them twice this year based on running the football. And I think if you look